Okay. Welcome everyone to Makercast. This is episode 60. So a nice round number. It's in uh, decimal. Anyways, today we have with us famous bitluni and Atomic 14. And
Yes, famous.
you know the drill, guys, so you can go and introduce yourself, and then we will have another round showing the things we have. So, Chris, you can start.
Sure, is this the intros or the show and tell? I always get confused. Intros. So I'm Chris, aka Atomic 14. So I'll be showing, I'll probably be showing my ESP32 Spectrum because that's the project that I've got that actually works. So I'll show that after the intros, I guess. Looney, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm a YouTube maker and doing a lot of electronics experiments on YouTube. And yeah, today I'll be showing yet another matrix that is here in the background, and that's the camera pointing at it. Go last.
Yes, Looney is still soldering his project.
It's half done here. That one, yeah. So the LEDs are on, and I clipped the legs, but like 2 rows of the LEDs have only 1 pin soldered. So when we power it up, either it releases the magic smoke, or only like 4 of the 6 rows will light up. We don't know. We can try.
Excellent.
Okay, and I'm Ronald Opieralski, also known as deshipu, and I'm a Python programmer who plays with Circuit Python sometimes, I guess. So we can start the show and tell part, and let's go in the same order. So, Chris, you go first.
All right. Yes. Excellent. I will go
Why
first.
on my screen that big?
Am I really, really big?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, here we go.
Hey, there we go. Now I'm big. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to transition away from my face now and show you what I've actually got. So I've been working on my ESP32ZX Spectrum. It's now called the ESP Rainbow, just to avoid being sued by various people. But I've been working on the firmware. So now it supports 48K and 128K. So we can go into the different basics. So okay, this is the 128K basic, which if we do a bit of basic, so you can play notes, and it's got an AY emulator now. So this should make some beeps, which is very different from the 48K basic, which I have to remember how to actually do this. You have to go into symbol shift and then symbol shift Z, gives us beep, and then I think it's numbers 1,2 should give us a beep. There we go. But what's quite nice is the this new speaker I've got is a quite slightly more powerful speaker than what I had before. So I had a buzzer before. So now if we go into games and we can play, obviously we can play good old Manic Miner. So we'll get a bit of music. So this is just using sort of buzzer output. So the guy who wrote this just turned the speaker on and off really quickly to get this polyphonic tunes. So, and obviously the game all works. So that's quite cool. My keyboard's working really well now. So now each individual key is individually addressable, I guess. Is that right? Yeah, they're individually touch sort of sensitive keys. So that's all done with these little ICs now, which are multiplexing the touch signals from the ESP32. So we've got 40 independent touch pins, which means every single key operates by itself. So that's Manic Miner. And then, of course, for the nice AY chip emulation, if we go into games again.
I will interrupt you with that question.
Go on.
Are the ICs just chains, or are they in like a tree structure to give you even more input?
They are all just individually addressed. So each of these ICs, there's 3 address lines. So you've got 8 outputs on each IC, and I've got 5 of them. So you have 8 times 5 touch pins. So you get 40.
But they are just connected to 5 touch pins on the ESP.
Yeah, so there's only 5 touch pins used on the ESP32.
Because if you kind of have a tree structure, like 1 multiplexes to 8, and then you can have 8 more multiplexed from that.
You could do that. Yeah, you could go. I don't think my mind can do that though. It was hard enough routing 40 wires.
Does the analog signal degenerate by each level of multiplexer?
Probably, yeah. Probably does, yeah. I mean, I think these are ancient chips. I think they're kind of almost jelly bean components now, so they're manufactured by many people. I think there's, depending on which ones you get, there's like kind of 5 to 20 ohms resistance. So it would degrade over time. I mean, it's kind of surprising that it actually works at all. But yeah, and then just to show off
did you consider like any of those individual I2C touch things?
Yeah, but
what's the difference?
Well, they're quite expensive. So they would have been. Well, I think I worked.
Yeah, I'm for cheap. Yes.
I'd need kind of 5. Well, how many did I need? I think I needed 4 of the I2C ones, and they would be like $1.50 each. Whereas these ones are 25 cents each, or even cheaper if you go on from LCSC. So they're going down to like 10 cents each. So so it adds about kind of, well, if you buy proper components from a real supplier, then this adds kind of about $1 or so to the cost. If you go to LCSC, it adds like kind of 50 cents to the cost. So it depends where you buy your chips from as to how cheap they are. But I recently added the AY emulator, so now we have quite nice music coming out. It's quite good polyphonic audio. So
that sounds cool.
Yeah, so that works amazingly well. And what's even more amazing is this speaker is just driven with a transistor, so it is just PWM sort of audio. So
that's not enough because Spectrum is just PWM.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and then I thought I might as well add my video player to it as well. So now I've got some videos, so you can watch Battle of the Planets if you want to. It's horribly compressed, which makes the video look terrible, but works really well. Quite pleased.
You have a SD card there, so can you play off the SD card? Is it playing off the SD card?
It's playing off the SD card, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I have been trying various SD cards. So I've got a collection of SD cards that I've been testing. And I did find a really, really cheap one. Where is it? Yeah, this one. I found these on AliExpress, which were incredibly cheap. So I thought I'd try them. And they work, but not for streaming video. It starts timing out. You can load games off it, no problem. But if you try and stream video, then they start crapping out quite quickly. So what I might do is I don't know if I should ship with SD cards that I know definitely work, or just open it up to people to buy their own SD cards and then deal with all the support issues when people say their SD cards don't work. But it will save me a couple of dollars if I don't ship with SD cards. So I might.
Yeah, you can always give a recommendation.
Yeah, I'll do a recommendation. So this one here is a class 4 SD card. That seems to work quite well, and it's a proper SanDisk one, so should be all right. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's kind of working remarkably well. So
David is asking if that rainbow is that a silk screen or a sticker.
So this bit is full color silk screen. This bit is standard silk screen. So they kind of combine the kind of normal silk screen. They'll print that, and then they print the full color silk screen on top of that. It gets really confusing because they keep coming back with questions of where do you want us to print the color silk screen and where does it belong? And then you have to send them photos, and then they send you a photo of what they've done, which invariably is either in the wrong place or upside down, or it's kind of hard to explain what you actually want.
Which manufacturer is it?
That's PCBWay. So
PCBWay,
yeah. I think JLC does it as well, but I think a few of them must do it now.
I never tried it. It's new to me that PCBWay does also. full color.
Yeah, I mean they're interesting because they're not they're very automated, but not as automated as JLC. So you always get lots of questions coming back, which are.
But JLC was also like jumping hoops. There's some things that not supported, and there's like this example project with information what to do, but I think that's already deprecated. I'm not sure.
I think instead of asking your question, they just guess and do whatever. And I prefer.
Yeah, I've had. I mean, it's been quite good that they do come back with engineering questions because I realised the voltage regulator, which is I can't even see it. It's somewhere there. It's one of those really tiny ones, the same one that Chion uses on his boards. It's really tiny, but I didn't realise my footprint was completely wrong. And I've done about 4 or 5 prototypes, and they've just been fixing it for me without telling me until finally when the engineer sent me a message going, "You do know your footprint's completely wrong, and we've been fixing it for you all this time, and maybe you should change it so it's correct." Actually, they sent a message going, "We fixed it like this. Does that make sense?" And maybe you can just send me the footprint you're using. That would be really helpful because that's obviously the right one. Because
I had situations where I made a mistake like this, and they fixed it the first time, but not the second time.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So if they don't tell you, then you don't know you have a problem.
No, I didn't realize. Yeah, I just thought it was fine, and then they started telling me all the problems on my board that needed fixing. So that's been this is a fun project. It's now on Crowd Supply. So somewhere, yeah, here we go. So if you're interested, head over to Crowd Supply and go and check out the ESP Rainbow because I need more people to sign up, and then I can actually launch it. So yeah, it's quite fun. Then the other thing I've been doing, I've just been messing around. I've got millions of USB cables, so I made myself a little thing to screw onto the side of my desk that I can slot my USB cables into. So now I have a nice little thing hanging off the edge of my desk with all my USB cables. So let's see if I can. Yeah, that's my some of my USB cables hanging off the edge of the desk, kind of slightly more organized than they were, which was a drawer full of USB cables. So now I've got just a tangle of cables on the end of my desk.
A drawer of a huge knot of cables.
Yeah. At one point they were just on the floor, and I thought that's even worse than a random drawer. So now they're slightly better organized. Yeah, so that's been my other real fun project to try and reorganize my life and get it better.
I found that those cable holders are also nice for multimeter cable because I always have them lying like on the desk, all over the desk.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, and then you put them in a drawer, then you can't find them, and then
you put the multimeter next to I don't know a cabinet, and then put those organizers on the cabinet.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, slowly getting more organized by 3D printing bits of plastic that then end up with. I think it took me about 5 versions to get something that actually worked. So now I got various iterations lying around the office that didn't quite work. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, so that's kind of me. Yeah, my ESP Rainbow project is slowly progressing, slowly getting closer and closer to being live and actually being for sale, which will be interesting.
You are not afraid of being called woke because of the rainbow?
Well, someone accused me of was apparently a very, very old computer from DEC Alpha that was the DEC Alpha Rainbow that apparently brought back flashbacks for him. That
for every word you will find some history.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Word somewhere.
Yep.
Once.
Yeah, I could have probably got away with Spectrum, but all the rights are now owned by Sky, who got bought by Comcast, and now no one knows who really owns the rights to the ZX Spectrum. It's all disappeared somewhere.
I know at the time there were a lot of clones of ZX Spectrum, and one
Mm.
of them was called ZX Monstrum. That's my favorite. all those clones.
Yeah. So yes, that's been taking up most of my spare time. Has just been writing firmware. It just seems like the actual PCBs are the easy bit, and then you actually have to do the firmware, and that just
It's always like that.
yeah. Unfortunately, there's a few Spectrum emulators. So there's one called eSpectrum that has some quite good code that I can steal and copy and put into mine. It's all GPL, so I'll GPL mine as well, and then attribute all the people that I've stood on top of.
So we have another question from the
Best Spectrum game. I think. Well, I played an awful lot of Elite, so I think probably Elite. But that's probably the best BBC games. I don't know.
That game that isometric game where you turned into a werewolf.
Oh, Saberwolf.
Saberwolf.
Yeah. I like something called Quasatron, where you're basically, it's an isometric game, but you're a robot and you drive around and you have to grapple other robots and you steal their equipment. And I quite like that game. That was one of my favorites. So, yeah. To answer James's question, it uses, it will read snapshots or Z80 files off the SD card. So it will do snapshots or Z80. Some of the emulators do use the TAP format, but that's quite complicated to make work, and I can't do that. It's too difficult for me. So Z80 is probably the one that I'll support mostly. Jetpack was a great game. Yeah, I did enjoy that as well. So yeah, so that's me. I'm hoping deshipu's finished soldering.
No, bitluni.
Oh, sorry, Looney. Power consumption. Actually, I don't know. I mean, it can, when it's playing audio, it probably uses about 600 milliamps. I don't know what the old Spectrum used. Let's have a quick look. What's the ZX Spectrum power consumption? 0.4 amps going up to 1 amp. So it's probably actually pretty much the same as the original ZX Spectrum. So yeah, I think probably the same. So yeah, that's me, my ZX Spectrum emulator. I will now hand over to someone else. Looney, are you ready?
Yes, I'm never ready, but I wing it. Okay, let me switch the camera. So I recently released, let me do a higher shutter, released a video on these matrices, which are, let me plug it in, based off modules that are quite old now. I think I bought them like 8 years ago or something. They're RGB. And I made the board to quickly switch them. So I'm actually capable of doing, I think, 2000 frames at 8-bit. And I think 14-bit was still 100. No, 12-bit was 100 FPS. So quite good refresh rate. And I have like, I mentioned it in the video, there is like a MEMS microphone and a speaker, and on the live stream, we also tested the speaker, but never tested the MEMS microphone. And the problem, I didn't even mention it anymore in the video, and I think nobody noticed at the end. It's always like you said, the software is a lot of time, and I wanted to finish the video, so. Yeah, and I can maybe show it how it's not working properly. So it has some buttons which, if we can focus on that, are basically behind a 3D printed case around the border. And let me plug it in.
What was the plan for the microphone that isn't implemented? Or what were you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know, sound reaction or recording voice, whatever. The IC on that has a little bit of flash and RAM, so you could actually buffer a few seconds of sound, like voice and whatever.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's my debugging display. So we have like
cool.
It will show which side is connected, but yeah, the problem with these matrices that I use, the pin connectors are quite close to the edge, and if you want to make it tileable, you need like to limit the board, and then I had only space for let me take that off for Pogo. Yeah, that's me. I can disassemble it quickly. No, it's hard. Or like for those Pogo pins that are not with magnets, and the magnets are embedded, like glued in with hot glue in the case, so it's quite messy. Let me connect it again. So yeah, making it align properly and work at the end is quite challenging, but yeah, the idea was if I connect it, it would recognize
really cool.
it's a bigger disc screen and stuff like that. I think,
Does it need to be? Can you connect in a sort of random shape? So if you had many of them, you could. Can you make a sort of?
Usually, but you know the software is missing, so to do that, it's just a random. It's just showing. Okay, I detected there is another matrix on this edge.
Right.
And I never did anything that more than that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that was that project, and this was like 2 years ago when I did that, and I had a different one, which is based off those WS1211 LEDs, and they have even embedded the chip inside. So I made basically a bigger version with like off-the-shelf magnet connectors. Let me open that so we can take a look inside. But this actually started. It's retained by the connectors itself. So when I open it, I might break it now.
Yeah, don't break it.
It's all right. I can print it anytime. Here you go. So these are like off-the-shelf through-hole magnets, and they are also like in the way if you're doing like but a one board design. And zoom in. You can see they would be in the way of those LEDs, and the solution for that was basically rotating the LED.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I have dodged like every component on this side just by rotating the LEDs. And but you can see here I have a smaller version, this one that I didn't finish soldering yet, and I printed the case because this is like made in Blender because Fusion said I reached my limit, whatever limit that might be. So these LEDs have like one flat side. Focus. You can see it here, and this is exactly designed so it fits that in one orientation. Let me check. This might be this is not the orientation.
It's going to be like a USB, isn't it? It'll be try it one way.
Yeah, but at the end it's
nice.
It's like that. Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, I think that fits. And we should have never tested this version. Okay, I didn't solder the magnet connectors on that, but this will be basically a smaller version, 6x6, because it's quite a lot of pins if you consider like this big version here. So we can also turn it on. I just need to supply power because I used the 80 tiny on this one, and I just have. I'm just using another microcontroller for the power, like that. And
Cool.
yeah, that's.
Oh, nice. That is very, very.
It's really looking cool, like with this bulky LED. So that's what I like. And
it's like the mini ping pong ball wall.
Please?
Like ping pong walls on the
Yeah, so actually this first version doesn't even have the microcontroller on there. So that was meant to be maybe a new version of, let me check if I can connect this. I don't want to screw up to WLED. So this is VCC.
Well, oh, smoke.
Yeah, VCC, ground, and D1. Let me check.
Oh.
No.
No.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
What did I do wrong? Maybe I destroyed it already. No. Doesn't show.
I think David Watson's comment is correct. Blue wire for VCC. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Somehow that's not good. This ground, the in. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. That should be blue anyways. Is this the right microcontroller? Wait a second. It doesn't look like it's the right microcontroller here.
It's connected.
Shoot. Yeah, anyways, yeah, that should be, initially I wanted this to be, I can show an older, a different version of that. I had problems with my ping pong LED wall, which like the one with the surface mount LEDs, and I wanted one that had replaceable LEDs or smaller boards, because every time like display replacing a huge panel would be an effort. So I designed that one, and I even wanted to make the LEDs replaceable, but not soldering them and using staggered holes. And I have even like a test where I populated the whole board and it worked, but yeah, basically if you touch anything, it will like disconnect and so on. So that's not viable, but it was like fun testing that. And from that, I thought, oh yeah, I can do like a standalone version of the magnet matrix from these LEDs as well. The only difference here, like 5x5 is quite convenient because there's not many LEDs to solder, and you can still display a smiley in some way. But that wouldn't work with having the magnet connectors here like that. So yeah, this is 6x6 and 8x8.
Yeah, nice.
So that's basically what I'm working on right now. And yeah, no, there is another project that I'm doing, but I can show it because I cleaned my table for filming a video. And on the live streams, I'm trying to replicate a mechanical TV, which is a lot of fun every week. Also like a CRT with a laser and deflecting the laser.
Cool.
But I can show that another time. That
will
be a video series on 100 years of CRT or invention of the TV, which is now 90 years old. So 98 years.
98 years. So you got 2 years to do your video series.
No, I will release it now and say it's 100, and it will be basically I'm from the future. Time traveler and celebrating 100 years of.
I did suspect this. It's always been a suspicion.
I think
right,
the time stopped 4 years ago, anyways. So,
Time stopped 4 years ago. Oh,
yeah.
You think so? Yeah.
It's still May 1920. 2020. How
2020.
the time flies.
Yeah, time flies. You must be having fun. That's it's all the hosting of Makercast. It's you're just enjoying it too much.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about those side-mounted buttons because I often see people complaining about them because whenever anything electronic breaks, like mechanically, it's always a side-mounted button that gets unstuck from the PCB.
Yeah, basically
And I have recently seen some really cool side-mounted buttons that are sunken into a slot in the PCB.
Yeah.
So the back of the button actually braces against the PCB itself.
Like
It doesn't
USB
rely.
connectors.
Sorry?
There are also like USB connectors that are basically like in the middle
Yeah,
of the
sunken.
yeah.
So actually, the buttons on my Spectrum have little pokey out bits. Let me try and show it.
Oh yeah, mine have too. Like
No, it's not going to focus on it. It's way too tiny.
check these.
Yeah,
Now these are little holes where there's little
yeah, but that
Yeah.
always break eventually.
Yeah, eventually it will break. We just have to be a bit more gentle. Yeah, you're too.
Many times they just bend upwards and disconnect.
Yeah,
like
that does that.
or like bend upwards and they might still be connected, but you lose basically the functionality of the button.
Yeah.
So yeah, I experienced that as well. Yeah, true hole.
Oh no. No, I like the sunken ones. I want to have an opportunity to try them at some point. Obviously,
Where did you find them?
They then take space from both top and bottom of the PCB, so that's fine. But at least they have mechanically.
Yeah, I mean on those like there are also like two holes for the pins. So there is not much wiring going on the bottom anyways.
Right, yeah.
New or expensive? The Pogo, they are quite expensive. I believe it's like for a pair, it's like above $1. Or it's around. I know that I paid a lot for those. Where's my bunch of Pogos? There is a box somewhere on this table. Might be a box with a bunch of those magnetic. Yeah, here. This set set of. I have them like in different configurations. The 4-pin ones are for me the best because I can do power. Wait, this is wrong. Power, ground. Made to female. Yeah, power, ground, and data in, data out. So, and I think they were really not that cheap. So basically, if I make a matrix like that, also like the addressable LEDs are around 10 to 20 cents. I don't know if they're cheaper now, but they were also expensive. I paid $100 for a bag of those here, like that. So a matrix is basically already like $10 or 15, around that. The ones with the matrices off the shelf matrices, I don't think they are even available anymore. You can probably find some old stock. I didn't see them anywhere. So if you look for the part number, you only find like old data sheets or something for these. an alternative could be just basic flexible matrices. There are also like in smaller versions like these, but only like 8 by 8.
Yeah.
And just glue something something on top of a board. Be done. Print a diffuser and that's it.
That would be simpler.
Yeah.
But I do like the being able to plug the matrices together. That's quite nice. And when it automatically organizes itself, that's really quite interesting.
That's not even like super difficult, I believe. I
You-
mean,
you know,
one.
There was a toy like that. It was called Steve's Blocks or something like that.
Oh.
Uh,
You have just. I mean, the first route, like there's like one. They decide on one route, and then the addressing is quite simple at the end. I believe. I mean, I would do it like that. Or I have like one root thing with Wi-Fi, and then from that it would determine the structure, left, right, up, down, whatever,
Right.
like a tree, and then send it like to the browser, and it would basically replicate it on the screen, and we can screen share on that or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be the use case that I would like to do. And standalone, I would like to have like a game of life, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
you
that'd be
can
nice.
move them
Yeah.
around, so they wouldn't like warp around. They
Uh-huh.
would go like in that direction. That's something that I imagined today would be cool to have like as a showpiece. But
and if you remove them,
that
they
won't
will fall on the floor.
Yeah.
You could have like tiny plastic beads inside that would be ejected.
I mean, we can do it in post. All right, that's all from me. Now,
Okay.
deshipu, show us the robot.
Yes, show us the robots.
Or the pew-pews.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on trying the robot. I was actually my screen. Let me move this out of the way. Yeah, that's my budget OBS thingy. So yeah, a few
Right.
years ago,
That's not a robot.
Dave Darko made this thing called Lame
Sure.
Boy. It's basically an ESP32 with a very old Nokia screen
Mhm.
and a bunch of buttons. And I got inspired by this to try and build something similar. And so you know how it is once you start. You keep, you make one and then you think, oh, I could improve that. That I have, I've seen a new part that would really fit into this. So yeah, so this is one of the early ones that I made back then. It also has one of those LCD black and white screens. I use those horrible tact switches that are super heavy to press. They used to be used for reset on the development boards, so they really don't feel very much. And you can see this is a Sun D21, but this is still before I learned to do QFN parts, so I still use the QFP footprint back then to get it. And it has a holder for the coin battery, but you really can't run from that battery.
Did you try a layer?
Yeah, exactly. You have to use the rechargeable ones, basically a lithium polymer battery instead. Then it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's quite old one, and I kept doing that, and at some point I also have this kind of separate like line of gaming consoles that I use for workshops for teaching Python, And one attempt was to make them as cheap as possible, because I use them for workshops. I would like people to be able to take them at the end of the workshop with them to take them home. So I tried to make a version that was as cheap as possible. And how do you make things cheap? You remove parts from it, right? So this is the one
Oh, nice.
resulting things. So it has your standard OLED display thingy, right? And it doesn't have buttons because it uses touchpads for everything. It doesn't have a USB connector because it uses a 0.6 millimeter PCB where you just connect it like this,
Nice.
right? And then you have the
What happens if you connect it the wrong way around?
nothing, because on the other side there is nothing.
Ah,
Okay.
Or actually, because the plug on the other side has the shield, it will
Yeah.
short all the pins.
ah,
But
all right.
they are insulated from the battery, I think so.
Okay, that was my next
I mean,
question.
you don't want to back power your computer from the battery, right?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Love it.
It happens. And you can see on the back of this, you have the 4 capacitors that you need for the screen itself, and 1 resistor. And there is actually a missing capacitor here, because I figured out you actually don't need it. I left it in there just in case it was needed, but you actually don't. There is a power switch that switches between USB and battery, basically. So I don't need an additional transistor for switching power
Yeah.
sources. And there is the SAM-D21, a voltage regulator, and just 2 capacitors, and that's it.
Nice.
So I was pretty happy with this. And then I discovered that fabricating the 0.6 millimeter PCB is much more expensive than doing it with a regular PCB and using a USB connector, a normal USB connector. All right, and you can see also the battery connector is made out of PCB. It's 2 slots that you put the battery under, like this.
Wow.
Right. So I removed everything I could from the design, and it turns out after all of that work that it's actually more expensive than doing it the regular way. The regular parts are just so cheap that
Yeah.
the Pro, you just it's just cheaper because you can mass produce them.
Yeah.
So that was quite a while ago, and recently I remembered about this. So there was this new RP3520, the new Raspberry Pi microcontroller was released, and I figured, oh, I have to try it, right? I had quite a few things with the 2040, but I wanted to try something with the 3550, and I just happened to have this is another game console thing I'm working on for some years already, and I had a version where I wanted to use the ESP32S3 when it came out, and I didn't feel like figuring out how to put a chip on your board and then get the antenna tuned and all those supporting parts. So I decided, okay, I can use a module or I can use a ready dev board. And I went with the Xiao, the SID Studio Xiao, because they had it at the time. This is actually an antenna, this sticker for the Wi-Fi. So I made this PCB footprint with the Xiao footprint for testing different ones. I had to use a shift register for the buttons because it didn't have enough pins to handle all the buttons and the sound and the display. But with the shift register, it's perfectly fine. And now that the RP35, it's 3540, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, the new one.
Oh no, the new one. Yeah.
New one, the one with the errata. Came out. I also was able to test it easily because I just replaced the dev board. So that's a very nice way of doing things, because then whenever a new chip comes out, you can count on the Xiao dev board coming out, or if not Xiao, then QT from Adafruit,
Mhm.
or Tiny from Paimoroni, or whatever from Waveshare. There is a number of boards that's compatible with this footprint. Some of them are a bit longer and they have additional row of pins at the bottom, but generally it's very easy to find one that has, at least it has the power pins in the same place, which is the important part. Right. Right. So once I did that, I figured out, what if I revisited this, tiny game console with the OLED idea, but made it properly. No hacks this time. Use all the parts that you are supposed to use, and make it work with the coin cell battery. So I came up with this thing. And there was a lot of experimenting for me with this, and shockingly everything worked the first time around. So that
Nice.
never happens. That should
And
never
rubbery
happen.
buttons.
So it has a boost converter on it, so it actually can drain that coin cell battery down to 0 volts.
Can we
Because
see it working? Turn it on. Turn it on. Let's see it working.
right, yeah. Yeah, so I have like a dig dug
Uh-huh. Cool.
here that I'm also programming.
Did it not scare you that it worked first time? Because I find that quite disturbing. Things are not supposed to work first time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It second thing that it has, this display, normally those OLED displays are tricky to use without the module. Most people put the module on their board and forget about it. But as you can see, I have them. It's soldered directly.
Wow.
So they are tricky to use because you have to restart them with the reset pin after powering them on. Otherwise, they will not work.
Yeah.
And that's one extra GPIO pin that I don't have here. So I actually added a timing circuit in there with a capacitor, a diode, to do the reset. And that's analog circuitry, which is super scary to me.
Yeah.
But it also worked. So I'm super happy with this. And I also have this transistor for switching between USB and battery power. So now the power switch is not switching between USB and battery. It's only switching the battery on. And there is a proper transistor that routes the power.
Is there a watch wire? Is there a watch wire?
Sorry?
If there is a botch wire, Guido means that it needs at least one botch wire.
That's the thing. Shockingly, there is none.
Worked first try?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That shouldn't happen.
It's not right. It's not right.
Okay, deshipu, that looks really cool. But I have a challenge for you for the next time you're showing the consoles. Now that you're using this OLED with this flat flex cable, make it a mini Game Boy Fold.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
you can fold it,
That would be cool.
close it, and open it.
So
You know
the
what I
theory
mean?
is
Like
that
the
Yeah,
phone
that'd be great.
display use DSI protocol for communication, and that's quite difficult to handle for a microcontroller. It's like differential signaling.
But it's still a
what
flex
do you mean?
paper.
You just need to cut the board.
Yeah, cut the board and fold it in
Oh,
half.
like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Just where the
No,
flex
I
is,
think I will leave it to you.
and make it like a foldable phone, like a mini.
So analog.
You can then protect it and make it like a key fob or something, and then you can fold it open.
Oh,
and
that
then
would be really cool.
fire up.
Yes,
Your
definitely.
screen will be protected.
Analog circuits are scary for me. Mechanical parts are super scary. And I don't have a 3D printer. So making the hinges on this.
You're overthinking it. Overthinking it.
Yeah, you've got the flexible cable as the hinge. That's
That
Yeah.
wouldn't work very long, would it?
Or just a wire or whatever.
yeah.
Like wires that are bending.
Yeah, anyways, I'm sure that, like I was third sniped by Dave to make a series of mine. Maybe you can get inspired now by my project to also make your version of it. You can get those OLED displays in a transparent version.
Mm,
Yeah.
Another thing you can see through without the backdrop, without the black the mirror thing that is behind them, so you can see through. So you could make a see-through Game Boy. And
Oh,
there
you
is
can
also a color OLED version of that with a see-through display.
Or two OLEDs and make it a Game Boy DS.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
yeah, Ardu Boy DS.
One that folds out. Yeah.
Ardu Boy 3DS. Because Ardu Boy uses exactly the same screen, right? So in theory, if I wanted to, I could play all the Ardu Boy games on this.
Very cool.
But I don't, because I use CircuitPython instead, because programming the games is hard enough already. And I prefer to do it in Python because it's just faster. Yeah, that's it. And of course, when you wanted a robot, here is a robot. This
Hooray.
is WeBack that I'm working on. It also uses the shell on it, because basically that's the only development board that is small enough to fit there. I can make it. Remote. That's all I have.
Fantastic.
So let's move on. Oh, questions. Are there any questions? Were there questions? I wasn't looking at the chat, sorry.
Mostly it was requests to make foldable versions from from Looney and me.
I mean, we need to share the maker disease and
You do.
make other people do things.
Your version, is it open source? Where can you find it?
As usual, I put everything on Hackaday.io. And because Hackaday.io is recently becoming a little bit flaky, because apparently there are a lot of AI bots scraping it. So I also mirrored all of my projects from Hackaday.io at my own website. But the game console is not there yet, because I wrote it for the Hackaday.io because they had a console
But
contest.
it's also on GitHub, is it?
Yes, and the source should be on GitHub. I'm not entirely sure.
You're
I'm
not
sure I
uploading
uploaded it
KiCad
on Hackaday.io,
files.
because on Hackaday.io you can upload files. So the design files are in there, but it's done in Easy ADA. It's not KiCad.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
I mean, you can import it. I think there are
You
imported
can,
both ways.
but it's shared, is it? Yeah.
It's
Or is
shared
it like
on-
downloaded JSON or what format?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hackaday.io. I can. Where is it? Always. Yeah. So that's the project.
Nice.
And then I even posted the code of that.
So
game.
people can just take it and make a V-score to your board,
Right.
make it foldable.
You can also use a different shell. But I use the RP2040 in here. But you can use an one of the ESP32 ones, and have like the outer for you, because then you have Wi-Fi on it, or Bluetooth, and you can use it for, or as a remote or whatever. That's the nice thing, having a footprint on the back, where you can put, or you could put an RF52 version of the shell in there and do Bluetooth stuff with super low energy. So yeah. Right. So that's all of our projects.
That's it.
I was thinking, I don't have a quiz, but I was thinking maybe
Oh, what a shame. Oh, well, never mind.
we can do like a panel, a discussion about.
Oh, okay.
And because I'm so happy about having a board where you can replace boards, because all of them have the same footprint. So I was thinking about maybe you could share your favorite dev board footprint, your
Ooh.
favorite dev board, form factor.
Interesting. So I tend to just use modules now. So I've moved away from using dev boards and now just use ESP32 modules. Normally the S3. So because it does USB for you. So I've ended up, basically just S3 modules seems to be my now default one, just because I understand how to build them and power them and connect them to USB. And so far they seem to
Plug
work.
them into a breadboard, can you?
No, but I do have a little adapter board somewhere. Don't know where it is though. It's in my pile of random boards that I can, if I want to, I can just solder a
Does it
module.
look like that?
Looks very similar to that. Yeah, just like that.
That's an S2 board. It's quite old. I think.
But if I need it, actually, what have I got? I tend to have a whole bunch of dev boards. So I've got quite a few from Unexpected Maker. That, he sent me a bunch a few years back that I'm slowly working through. I have a bad habit of blowing up dev boards because I don't know what I do, but they occasionally just die on me when I wire them up wrong or pull too much current from pins, and then they die. So I'm working through my dev board collection, and then I have to draw sad faces on them when I blow them up. So yeah, but yeah, modules or tend to be S3 things. Don't know.
Yeah, my favorites back in the time were the minis, of course.
Oh yeah,
they had all the pins. You couldn't use them very well on a breadboard, but you could basically plug them in upside down or whatever way, and have your things done with all the IOs from the ESP32. And I did the same like Chris
Yeah.
by basically figuring or cloning a working design for S2 and S3, which has like only a few components for the power, like the two resistors and LDO or whatever. And that's basically, I'm just copy pasting that and using the modules, the expressive modules there.
Yeah, there are new
Quite
ones with the
stable.
USB-C now.
Oh,
And
nice.
2 rows. So
Yeah.
the external rows are compatible with the D1, and the
Cool.
inner ones are you can solder female headers on them, so you can still stick it into a breadboard and use the outer ones on the breadboard and the female inner ones with the female headers.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
David Watt says is at Mega 32U4 is one of his favorites. There we go.
Yeah, because of the USB capabilities, huh? Do I have it here? I might have it here. Yeah, that's cool because of the native USB, and you could just do MIDI with that and keyboard and whatever. I have it here. I don't have it here. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have one of those Pro Mini boards that they used to have the Atmega 32U4, but now they make them with the RP2040.
Nice.
Because turns out it's actually cheaper. And yeah, the Atmegas, because of Arduino and because all the keyboard, like all the mechanical keyboards are using this Atmega 32U4 thing, they are super expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
They are more expensive than the RP2040, even though they almost have no memory and no,
Yeah, RP2040 needs like the extra flash. That was terrible during the chip shortage because you couldn't get any flash chips anymore.
Yeah.
That killed a few of my projects.
I actually found the first PCB I made when I was this is my first dev board.
Oh wow, that actually looks good.
I mean, it was this was actually JLC made this, but I had to hand solder the module. But there's no USB because I didn't know how to do USB sockets. I found them too difficult, so I had to attach a programmer to it. That's my first ever board.
Did it work?
Did it work? I think it did. Yeah, no, it did. Yes, yeah, I think it did work. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's. And then this is one I made that was really tiny. So that was a module with tiny PCB. That was fun. I think this does actually do something. Let's plug it in. I think it makes some noise. Maybe. Oh. Yeah, kind of making noise.
It's not speech.
Sounds like text to speech.
I think it's supposed to be music. I think it's not working. Anyway, so yes. So that brought back some memories.
Yeah, I kept my first boards, but they're not like, they were etched, and that was basically me figuring out when to stop etching, because usually they would get like transparent, but there's still like connections between the traces, and if you etch it for too long, you wouldn't see it underneath like the transferred toner, because I use toner transfer, and some traces were basically broken, and I had like to solder wires on the ones who were too thin. So I still kept them as a memento.
Yeah.
Well, but they're downstairs.
So at the hackerspace we had actually a nice acid bath with the aquarium pump that would pump air into it, so the bubbles would make it etch faster and not have those under whatever it's called.
What did you use? Chlorine or sodium?
So myself, I use the brown stuff, because it wasn't
chlorine. Yeah.
as toxic, and you can dispose of it easily. But at the hackerspace, they use the blue stuff.
I still have all. So I used sodium persulfate, and I still have all the jars
Wow.
with the blue stuff that looks like crystal meth from Breaking Bad. Really, because like all the water evaporated at some point.
Yeah.
You had only like the crystalline
Sure.
blue stuff, which is saturated with copper. It turns blue. And funny story, you can't get like sodium persulfate easily. You like every distributor has like to perform like ask you for what purpose you're using it, because like you could build a bomb with that or whatever.
Yeah.
So actually I'm somewhere registered for using sodium persulfate or for purchasing like half a kilo of the
But now
powder.
that it has copper in it, you could use it to actually electroplate something.
Yeah, I could use it, but
Yeah.
I'm storing. I have like a big box with glasses, like old jars full of crystals on the bottom, because I can't get rid of them.
I've seen
You have
people
to pay
actually
for it, and I'm too cheap.
they take a 3D printed thing. They spray it with the silver
Yeah.
and then they electroplate that with copper.
I tried this. I just made a mess. It didn't work.
Yeah, of course, you need to find the right procedure that works.
Yeah, I think I got impatient trying to do it and then just did it wrong. What do you do with your old PCBs? I've got so many PCBs.
Oh, I will show you.
Oh, you have a box. That's a lot of PCBs. You're basically stockpiling e-waste.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get people to bring the PCBs. They are like the ones that actually worked, but it was a prototype that worked, but isn't the final prototype. I'm trying to get people to bring them to different conferences and meetups and have like a table where you can take a PCB.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
But you have to put a sticker with a link to the documentation of it. Otherwise, you don't know.
Right.
The documentation.
Well, I document my project.
I mean, I can always ask ChatGPT. Like my variable names have meaningful names, so like the functions, methods, everything has meaningful names.
Put your KiCad files somewhere.
Yeah, I can find them.
People, so that at least they know which component is which.
True. Yeah.
And often, sometimes those PCBs are just like PCB art things, and they look nice even if you don't assemble them. So I have some stuff. I usually bring some PCBs like that, and at some point I was making keyboards like this one, and people are always happy to on the keyboard meetups to take a PCB of a keyboard.
That's interesting. I realized that sometimes I get like unpopulated PCBs as a present, and I realized that's a chore. Like I don't take unpopulated PCBs because like what do? I like have to spend hours and hours and days of my life to make it working. So basically someone stole hours from me by giving me an unfinished project.
That's for us because we are already at this level. But people who are just starting out, they are actually pretty happy to do this.
Yeah, probably.
So,
but I can't do this anymore.
The first shot is free.
Now everyone knows that I don't take unpopulated PCBs. Go away. I take only if it's art. Like if it looks nice, like the silk screen is art, I take it. But I will never populate.
Even if it's just like a development.
I have
board.
unpopulated boards that I designed myself for me. Just found a project today that I couldn't remember. I never went through with that. It's actually like a complete project that looks even cool, but I just found it and couldn't remember that I designed it today. And I have to follow up on that because I have like these old WCH USB host chips, and I have like 100 of those. And this project is based off those chips. I can't remember that I designed the board. It's just
that's the
JCPCB stack.
Development model. You know.
Maybe I send it to you. You have fun.
Yes.
This is the Tyler Durden development model. I don't know if you saw the movie Fight Club.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like that. Well, I had situations where I thought about a certain project for several years before I started it, and at some point I decided, okay, I will design this, and I will finally look for those parts in the drawer that I was collecting for that project. And I go to the drawers and I open the drawer and I see the finished project in there. Because I
Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day.
It.
It's Groundhog Day of an electronics hobbyist.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that during the COVID a lot.
Yeah.
You know, my memory was completely non-working. I was doing things and forgetting about them immediately. And you know, my friends from China were sending me presents regularly because I would order things and forget about them.
Yes, the endless packages from AliExpress of things that you can't remember ordering. Because it takes so long to come sometimes. It can be kind of a month or 2 months sometimes before things come.
Yeah,
By the time they arrive, I have no idea why I was ordering them and what they're for. You just get bags of components of random things or devices that you just.
The longest I had was 1 year, and PCBs from Dirty PCBs.
What?
What did you got?
They got stuck somewhere. And they arrived after 1 year.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, so if you have something that didn't come, don't give up. You know.
Yeah. Now ordering from AliExpress, I only order choice parts. I have no energy to wait like for an unexpected amount of time.
With CSC mostly for some reason. Because it's just because I'm using Easy ADA, so it's just so easy.
But I'm like also the bigger things like actual stuff, solar stuff, like charge controllers and stuff like that. Parts I just get from either populated already or LCSC as well most of the time. Maybe something. WCH has a shop on AliExpress. They're quite reliable. Also, like the TT Go stuff and stuff like that. They're also
Lily Go, TT Go. Wemos. Lolin. It's called Lolin now. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as well. But yeah.
All right. Cool.
I
feel like
we are 15 past 11, so that's it. Thank you, everyone, and hopefully we'll here.
Bye. See you, everyone.
So
bye.
Bye.
Yeah.